What's up, everyone? NanMan back with some more gameplay on the channel, and this time around it is not modern but legacy. So this is going to be an exciting thing that we're going to start doing at the channel. Is our modern actions not going away? Don't worry, that'll still be live every Monday for you to enjoy. Modern Magic Monday action for you. And then Thursdays for the foreseeable future will be some legacy content. We're going to be splitting the channel in half, if you will, between modern and legacy. And we've got an exciting one for you today, of course, starting out with the Affinity Fantasticar versus Blue-White Phelia. This deck is super sweet, and the pilot of this deck actually just competed in the DMV event that took place over the previous weekend and was able to make top 8 with this list here. So of course, if you're interested in seeing any of the lists, they are available on our Mox field. You can check the links in the description for it. But let's talk a little bit about what each of the decks are trying to do, talk about the event itself that we're seeing here, and kind of dive into things. So the Blue-White Phelia is one of those Blink style decks because it does run the Quantum Riddler, it does run Phelia, and then it's kind of backed up, like you might imagine, with a lot of powerful blue counter magic. But we get to run 4 stifles, we get to run some consigned memories, and then here's another great way to open it up with a Tamiyo immediate flip off of the brainstorm. One of the best things that you could be able to do is that immediate flip and just start getting advantage, not only from being able to kind of blanket and keep your opponent's stuff in check, but also being able to bring things back from the graveyard there. So we do see the kind of brainstorm resolving here. The other side of things, the Fantasticar as kind of taken over Legacy. We talked about it in some of our videos breaking down the Legacy meta. If you want to check those out on the channel, make sure you guys do so. But in particular, there are basically a couple different shells players are trying. Some players are trying to just be like, oh, I'm just going to jam 2 of in this list, like a reanimation list that might run it, and just kind of have it as like a plan C now. But the best versions of it are like the turbo versions that exist with being able to use Dark Ritual and stuff. It's kind of shelled into a Doomsday. Now it's kind of being known as Vroomsday. Those sort of packages work very well with it. And there's also the Affinity versions that are testing it out here. But so this is the Mono Blue Affinity version, and you can see with the +2, -2 life, these little bit of proxies, because the shop that we're playing at, Replay Collections there, does have this for our F&M now. If you'd like to play with your proxy deck, $15. The prize goes towards the 10-week season. Of course, $1,000 on the line at the end. Or if you're playing with your regular stuff, it is a non-proxy deck for $10. Again, all that goes right into the prize pool there. But we do see a Capican here attempt to get resolved here on turn 2, which is going to get met with the Force of Will. So that's the kind of like your pivot axis the deck has. Are we dropping a Kappa, or are we trying to go and drop all these 0 costs to be able to trigger the Fantasticar? So nice little fight over that here. It looks like our Blue-White Phelia player looking to try to get a 3rd land at this point. We'll be debating about utilizing Tamiyo's minus ability here. And yeah, it looks like we are going for the protection here. You see this like back and forth. You know, is the protection better? Should we go and just grab a force and lower our resource count again? Because that is the thing, it is a very real thing that you have to think about in Legacy, is how much you're going to be trading your resources for stopping your opponent's game plan. And Force of Will is a big way to be able to do that, because it's just a nice little blanket stop. But sometimes it could get into a bit of a wizard battle against a blue deck where they might be able to do that. So, you know, back and forth, we see this kind of the debate, but just passing here. We've got a clue that we can pop. We have a Force of Will, so we've got some tools at our disposal here, and it looks like we're kind of okay. We're going to see what sort of the Affinity Fantasticar can do from here. Looks like we're floating a mana and going for the search. Now, we can't make a construct because that was stifled. That's what the stifle was on earlier. So if you're wondering about whether we can make a construct off that, we cannot. So, but yeah, we're going to be starting to show off some more Legacy content on the channel here. So if you guys are interested, we've got a couple of videos in the queue at this point in time. You know, we've got some Cradle Control, some Reanimator. We've got some Fantasticar versus Control. We've got some Vroomsday versus Boros Initiative. So a lot of cool stuff. I believe we're doing the Vroomsday versus Initiative next week. So a lot of good stuff coming up here to be able to check out as players are going to be rotating through what decks they get to utilize. I really wanted to play a car deck for the first week of it. We do see a Thoughtcast going to try to get utilized here. I made sure that even though I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera, but at least on the cards themselves, I wrote different things like +2, like draw 2 or something like that. The Mox Opal has a +1 in its hand there to, like, you know, all the mana stuff. The of course, Ancient Tomb there is +2, -2 life, like things like that. But yeah, if you like this content, make sure you're subscribed and follow along. Mondays are for Modern, Thursdays for Legacy, and then we're going to start doing the sprinkling of content for you guys as we ramp up, get our podcast back up and running on Saturdays there. But Fantasticar going to be attempted to get used, but we know there's the Force, so that's going to get utilized here. Strip away the Fantasticar. Anything else? I mean, what? There's only a few cards left. So you see this sort of debate about what to go with here. Land for turn is the Urza Saga, which is nice. And there's the pass. Clue will get popped. But yeah, this matchup in particular, like, the Phelia deck was already very strong and very powerful of a strategy, like, as one of the best tempo decks in Legacy. But it just kind of increased in power level when this Fantasticar started to show up here, because of, like, oh, I'm running already 4 mainboard Stifles in addition to other tools to help me out. But we see Riddler going to get used, warped in here, draws a card. We find our 3rd land off of this. Now, do we have a Stifle to keep this around? Do we save our Stifles or our interaction for kind of the next lines that the Fantasticar is going to go for here? And you saw this kind of quick glance through what the deck has. Yeah, no, this is very cool to see. We've got, like, this was the first week of the Legacy 10-week season that the shop is doing. And we had a lot of players come out that used to play back in the day that have kind of, like, you know, been going and grinding. In particular, like our Phelia player, we have a Control player that traveled to the DMV circuit and play in those events. But, you know, seeing them come back out to play is always great to, you know, have those old school players. And also, because it's proxy friendly, you know, if you want to play Legacy, you don't have to worry about the price point. Just print off your cards, you're good to go, right? The shop itself has a couple of decks that you could be able to borrow as well. I think they printed off 8 different decks, just basically going, here's some of the top decks in Legacy. If you want to borrow one, go ahead, borrow one of these, and different strategies to go for here. But you might think the shields are down, but shields are never really down in Legacy because of the Force of Wills and stuff like that. So we're going to see what is going to be the option here for our Affinity player. They were able to tick up Urza Saga. Urza Saga is another one of those really important and powerful cards. Do we want to lose some life here? Do we need the mana? No. No, I'm not going to lose any life. All right, the passing turn here is definitely one of those situations where you're like, oh, okay, you're just going to be making constructs at this point in time, huh? Another Stifle, though, showed up a little bit late. Would have loved to have stifled that Urza Saga second trigger again to kind of prevent it from being able to make constructs. Still have the Tameo, though, which is helping out. We could sacrifice it to get another Force back here, but it doesn't really feel like that's the line we need to be going for. It feels like we need to get ourselves set back up. So yeah, I like this sort of plus. You know, it could also draw some pressure and threats, but there's 2 life going to be drained away as a construct's going to get created here. Of course, we've got our little construct tokens that we've got. Those are our nice little business cards, if you will. It's got all of our socials on the back. big shout out to the creator of that, the wonderful infinite tokens there. Infinite tokens, not. I'm mixing everybody up here with all the names there, but stifling the search trigger. I like that because you're looking through the list and you're trying to think about, okay, what scary thing could they go for? They could go and grab some boots or something like that. They could get a skateboard, tap down our lands, and really just kind of go big, heavy pressure. Because what are we at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 power because the trigger. Swords to Plowshare, we're going to try to get rid of it. Force of Will going to get utilized there. So we didn't care about Force of Willing. The Stifle saved it to protect our constructs here, and that will at least put a stop to Tameo, because if Tameo stays around, things get really bad really quickly there. Oh, no. Tapping the team. Kappa Cannoneer coming down now. Triggers. So now that we're basically just saying we're going all in, putting all the pressure out here and forcing the Phelia player to have to find a way to answer this. At least with the Kappa, like the ward trigger of Ward 4 is tough. You have ways to kind of answer it, things like consigns, things like stifles, so you could be able to go Swords to Plowshare, stifle the trigger, consign the trigger. But there's a Riddler. Try to find something. Nothing of value to help us out there, so we will scoop it up and get ready to go into game 2. At least go into sideboarding, and there are a decent number of tools that the Phelia list does have at its disposal.
Our gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with Nerd Gear. nerdgear.gg/nanman will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories, from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanman for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
All right. Yeah, Nerd Gear's got some new deck boxes coming out here, which is going to be sweet. Some new sleeve colors. I've liked their sleeve colors that they have so far. I've used them a couple different times there. But yeah, NG Nanman over at Nerd Gear to get 5% off your order. Check it out. Links in the description. All that good stuff there. But let's get in. Let's see what sort of tools we can get sideboard to help us out. How well can our Phelia player go about it? We didn't get to see much of a Fantasticar go there. Of course, that was answered very quickly, which you expect. But turn 1 Tameo's nice. I mean, basically, we have a lot of 1-drops that we can be able to deploy with this deck. Tameo is kind of the go-to, the one that we want to see the most often. We also have options of being able to ponder, brainstorm, and then even stifle if our opponent had like fetch lands and stuff like that. We could try to keep them in check that way, because there are some times where people will keep a greedy hand because they go, oh, I've got ponder, I've got brainstorm, here's a 1-lander, we'll be fine, right? And you could really mess somebody up with it. So I think that's the fun part of using the Phelia deck. We saw it, we did a little gameplay MTGO testing it out for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I've been playing it a little bit more online. I like the deck a lot. I've got it proxied up in paper. I've got my, of course, dual lands are the proxy, but everything else is good to go. I do have my Infect deck that we have not played yet on camera. We will be, so that's coming up at some point if you want to see Legacy Infect. That is not proxied, so I will at least get a little discount for that one there. But getting back into it, we do see kind of the Urza Saga ticking up. There is a nice little bit of Ancient Tomb going to get dropped down, and nothing else. So this is kind of that interesting pivot point we talk about with the Affinity Fantasticar of, do you have tools to help you progress to that next stage of being able to set yourself up to, go for like a Kappa? Do you have tools to set yourself up to go for a Fantasticar? Where are we going? Looks like we're dropping in the skateboard, tapping down the land, going to main phase 2. Looks like, okay, maybe we are setting ourselves up for just some extra mana here. Mox Opal, not online yet. There's still only 2 artifacts. 2 life going to 18. Ooh, Chalice on 1. Force of Will going to be able to respond to that. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's so many 1-drops in the Phelia deck. There's Swords Plowshare, Stifle, Consign to Memory, Brainstorm, Ponder, Tameo, right? It's just a plethora, and that doesn't even count any additional sideboard stuff that we might bring in for this matchup here. Ooh, Wasteland. Not going to be going for it right now. We could be able to respond to like the untapped and the triggers and things like that and Wasteland it if we wanted to, but you see a lot of reaction going on in the hand. We've got a Phelia, we've got Force of Will, so we have some tools, but looks like Construct's going to get made here. That will allow the Mox Opal to be online now. Search is good as well. What is the artifact we want? Could go for more mana, right? Lotus Petals. We could go for some Baubles, but I like the Aether Spellbomb a lot. Some lists are running it sideboard. I'm doing it main board right now. I'm currently not on the Boomerang Basics. I know a lot of the lists are utilizing Boomerang Basics. I decided to go a little bit more control-y, like some Misdirects, the Chalices, things like that. But I think I do want to try out some Boomerang Basics because of it gives you a little bit more power to Fantasticar because of the draw potential. We'll go for an equip on our Construct. Seat of the Synod there. Of course, you can see the little blue mark on the card saying, look, this taps for blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 6/5 coming at you. I also keep debating about whether or not to go for the boots over the skateboard because of the ward trigger. You know, ward 1 is not bad, but Phelia is going to get dropped in here. This is a problem because now Phelia could be able to get rid of the token, so we'll be able to do the Aether Spellbomb, bounce that to hand here. Now you see the sort of debate, do we leave Tameo back to block, or do we push and get more clues here? Our life total is only at 12, so this is that moment of kind of, we have a Phelia. We already know how we want to progress our game plan. But yeah, it looks like we are going to be trying to be a little bit more conservative because of the explosiveness that the deck has available. Like if you try to go for a Fantasticar and we lose the counter war somehow, with 2 Force of Wills, it's not likely, but there's only 1 blue card to pitch, really. There's 3 blue cards in hand, 2 Force Wills, and it looks like a Riddler here. So you can see that sort of debate here. But there is another Ancient Tomb. So the question is, how do we progress next? 4 life dropping to 12. 12 all here. There's the attempted Fantasticar. Also doing this, tapping both of them here, is sort of that play around days moment, right? How many days are you running? How well can I fight around this? This is interesting too. Interesting information, right? Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. That's 3 Force of Wills that have basically been revealed so far. Now, you see in hand, I think this is that moment of mistakes of not being as comfortable with the deck. Here's the Disruptor Flute. So if we played the Disruptor Flute first, we're going to name Wrath of Skies here. We could have named Phelia. I think our in the moment our plan was to stop Phelia. But if we had just named Force of Will, that would have forced out the force there. Then we could have done the Fantasticar. So like there's moments here that we can catch, and part of this is you know, the benefit of having the gameplay and the footage here for not only myself who was piloting the Affinity Fantasticar deck, but also anybody that is getting into Legacy or wanting to play more Legacy. This is a great way to kind of see these moments and go, okay, Disruptor Flute is so powerful in what you could be able to name and how you can be able to utilize things. You got to find your next couple of lines and how can we progress from here to there. But this is also a kind of maybe a reason why we're okay with the Force of Will being able to get utilized, because we've got an Emery to bring back Fantasticar, and we actually mill another Fantasticar there. But yeah, Wrath of Skies, I think the fear is like that post-board we expect our Phelia player to bring in Wrath of Skies, and with the way that our board is set up, it's like, all right, if they do it for like 0 or something like that, we definitely get hurt. But there, the hand is dumped, Riddler drops down, we get to draw 2 cards, and that's a huge moment too, because we get one of our sideboard tools here, which is a nice little bit of a Pyroblast there, or Red Elemental Blast. I couldn't see quite basically same, only different, right? But there's the Volcanic Island going to get fetched up here, give us access to a little bit more power to kind of get rid of the Emery. Emery's gone. Yeah, Pyroblast. Counter target blue spell or destroy a blue permanent. And there's the Phelia flickering on the Riddler, putting the pressure on. Draw a card. All right, I think that's the thing, right? If Emery was alive here, Carr would come back and things get a bit crazy. But the part about the Affinity Fantasticar list is it's full of a lot of bad cards. Like Urza's Bauble and Mishra's Bauble and Lotus Petals and things like that you're like, these don't really do anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going for 6. Attempt to play a Kappa. Oh, okay. We mess up here. We would be 2 life up if we had tapped differently. But we got greedy with the land bases. We would be at 8 if we had just tapped our Mox and tapped the Urza Saga instead of... Oh. Alright, because right now there's 7 damage on the board. Fetch. Get another Tundra here. Attack. Blink this. And guess what? We get to pay the ward. And there's the 7 damage. So we would have been to 1 life. Oh, man. Phelia takes the tie up here. 1-1. But yeah, I think that is the perfect moment to think about when it comes to Legacy. It really rewards the players that know their deck and have put in the time to learn, those specific lines and how to navigate specific matchups. If you look at, this player, Phelia's list and their experience with it, they've been putting up 5-0 lists on MTGO for weeks now with this. So they're very comfortable with the list. I mean, it proved it when they made top 8 at the DMV event. So, I think there is that moment of being skilled enough to pilot a deck for the first time, but being able to compete against somebody that puts in the work and puts in the rep is a very different thing. We'll see how things go with a game number 3 here as a turn 1 Emery drops down, Lotus Petal, Mishra's Bauble to follow it up to kind of help allow that. But nope, we're not going to deal with this Emery at all. Here's the Swords. The Plowshare is going to drop down here. And Force of Negation going to get used to say, no, we need that Emery. Any response? Any force? It works. Ooh. So what do we got? Tamios in hand. No Force of Will. Let's do a bobble, see what's on top. Draw off bobble, draw for turn. Ooh, Disruptor Flute here. Okay. Urza Saga, too, which is such a powerful card. All right, get a bobble back. Yep, there's the bobble. All right. Riddler was on top. Wasteland, get rid of the Urza Saga. So with the Disruptor Flute, we could have named Wasteland as well. Tameo. Passing turn. Revealing something else. But no second land drop again. Bobble trigger will draw. Draw for turn. So this is that moment you see the Kappa. Okay, so we're trying to set up for a Kappa here, it looks like. That's the next plan. Lots of thinking, debating, which I think is important, right? Take your time through your plays. Okay, so this is the life total check moment for both the players, just sort of confirming here and like, okay, I have you at 17. I just want to make sure this was milled. You didn't lose any extra life off of something else that I'm noticing, right? And then it was just sort of like, okay, where did we lose the life? You didn't do any fetching. And there's like, oh, yeah, right, this. We lost the 3 life having this coming in untapped on turn 1. Would like to target and return this bobble. So there is a Mox Opal also in the yard, but there's not 3 artifacts at the moment. So it's like, do we go for the Mox Opal at this point? The card advantage off that is pretty nice. Lose 2 life. A Disruptor Food. Naming consigned to memory. Part of that is because of the bobble revealing what card is on top, and we know there's a consigned to memory coming up. But again, another good choice is going for the Force of Wills here. We haven't really seen any yet, but we did see the consign, so I think it's like going, okay, this at least stops one of your answers that you could have to my fantastic car, right? Because you could go for the consign and try to replicate it and get rid of my triggers that way. But if you're like, oh, your consigned to memory costs even more to be able to play, maybe it's going to be much harder for you to be able to resolve it then. All right, Brainstorm, though, will be able to flip our Tameo, which, you know, 1 mana. There's our second one. And the swords. We're going to finally have a way to deal with the Emery. Put a stop to all of this. Gaining a little bit more life here. Another Tundra. All right. The Tameo is going to be a tricky one to have to deal with, right? You cannot let that survive. So we'll see how we're going to be able to answer that. Mox Opal here. Now that's active and online. 4 artifacts. No Fantasticar at the moment. 2 life dropping to 14 here. Looks like we're going to be attempting to resolve the Kappa. 3, 4, 5, 6. Kappa. Do you have a response to this? Yeah, no responses. Trigger, pass turn. All right. Big Man Blastoise is here. Can the Kappa close out the game? There's a Riddler. So this is this moment of like, okay, something really scary that's hard to interact with has landed on the battlefield. How can I navigate my way through this moment to get to the next stages to be able to win? And we're going to see, this is a good way to be able to do that. Lavinia, sideboard coming in here. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells that have greater mana than the number of lands. And then whenever your opponent casts a spell that has no mana, you counter it. Now, that second line is less relevant if you're trying to do a Fantasticar. It is relevant when you're trying to grow a Kappa Cannoneer, because it has to enter the battlefield for Kappa Cannoneer. The way that it works out with Kappa is it needs to be able to enter, and if it never enters because it gets countered, you don't get to grow it. You don't get to do all the fun stuff there. So yeah, they're just kind of going through and confirming how that works out there. So because let's see, a Fantasticar though doesn't care about the second part of Lavinia, but can't cast a Fantasticar with only 2 mana. Or 2 lands, even though we have way more than 2 mana available. We just can't do anything. So Punchy's going to come. We'll take care of the Tameo there. We'll do a bobble here. Try to get some information. Also, with this, it is setting up that we know that there is tools that have been brought back. A swords was brought back. There is our 3rd land. So now we have access to being able to cast something for 3, but drew off the bobble. Now, how much is Lavinia going to be able to take over this game here? We're still having to deal with a Kappa. Okay. Riddler's nice. Draw. Get a land. Not really any way to kind of deal with it at the moment with what we've got. But we're starting to build up tools. You see the kind of brainstorm. We have a fetch land, so we could set ourselves up if we need to. Yeah, so let's brainstorm here. Nope, just kidding. Go to Punchies. We know there's nothing that can get flashed in here. All right, we're not worried about like a dog getting flashed in and blocking and doing. No, that's not an option. Riddler's gonna get exiled, and we can kind of pass turn here. All right, Urza's Bobble got drawn. That's a dead card. That's the other thing, too. Because the list has so many 0 drops, right? 4 Lotus Petals, 4 Mishra's Baubles, 4 Mox Opals, 3 Urza's Baubles. Sorry, 3 Urza's Baubles. But that's, however many are just dead cards. Can't play them. Not to mention, Force of Will becomes a dead card. Not to mention, Thoughtcast is a dead card. So it's basically like everything that your list has is currently dead outside of the Kappa Cannoneer that's on the battlefield, outside of a potential Urza Saga. But right now, Kappa's still okay. There's 4 mana here, so that as long as a 5th land doesn't show up, Kappa is still fine. But there is, you saw, we have a waste. Specifically Wasteland as the 5th land. So that means Kappa Cannoneer no longer safe. There's 2. Drop into 10. Yeah, look at that. Red Elemental Blast. Also have the sword. So you see that sort of back and forth here moment of like, which one? Okay, upkeep. Before you draw, you might have an answer. Here's the war will pay off swords. You can't cast your Force of Wills or anything. If you have a Force of Negation, you could cast that. But there's only 2 in the list, and we had to pitch it at the beginning to keep our Emery around. But yeah, 2 Thoughtcast. Oh, those cards are so good in this list, but so bad when you're facing down in Lavinia and you go, my list runs 15 lands. I don't. It's like, and 3 MDFCs, right? Sink into super, aka the springs or whatever. I don't remember what the other side's called. It's sink into super. But yeah, 15 lands. There's us getting up to 5 lands is a bad time for our deck. But Phelia is going to get dropped down here. Lavinia still just sort of locking the game out. Riddler's going to come. It's also sort of this debate about how do we tap our mana. But it's like, we're fine as long as we still have access to, like, all of these other colors in case we need to, like, Prismatic Ending or something like that. But here's the attack. Flickers the Riddler coming in for 4. Riddler will come back. We'll draw a card, put a +1 counter on the Phelia here. Yeah, look at this. Now with the Force of Wills, we're kind of really set up for a lot of stuff. All right, we've been gathering up a bunch of tools. If we could chain a bunch of 0-cost stuff together with a Fantasticar, we could still win. Can we get away with it? Well, there are 3 Force of Wills. Force of Will, pitch this Brainstorm, Fantasticar, not going to survive. All right, pass the turn. But yeah, you see these moments of just like, oh, okay, we're close, almost can make something happen, but there are so many answers in the hand available. There's the handshake. Blue-white Phelia going to take it there. 2-1 there, but very cool matchup. I hope you guys learned a little bit about both these decks in particular for this one, because you'll be seeing a little bit more of them in the coming weeks. Again, every Thursday we're going to go through and show off some Legacy. But yeah, we get to see a little bit of discussion, what cards got brought in. But yeah, Lavinia really was the answer there, and I think seeing that was kind of my big moment of going, yeah, I really should be running the Boomerang basics to be able to answer something like that, because until I got Sink into Stupor and that's about it, and I'm just sort of more all in on my plan with the way that I have it built. So, overall, though, I'm very happy with the deck. I went 2-2 for the event. Our Phelia player went undefeated and then went and made top 8 at the following event that they played in on Saturday. So, good start to the Legacy adventures here at NanMans Nerd Corner and at Replay Collections that we've got here for the actual Invitational that's going to be played over the course of the next 10 weeks there. So, hope you guys enjoyed our first dive into Legacy. Make sure you come back every Thursday for more of this content. And Mondays for some Modern action there. But that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, y'all. And I'll see you all next game.